Hey everybody, what is happening? Welcome to the second part of the three-part Awesome Golf podcast series. This is the Fit and Form podcast, brought to you, of course, by SuperDraft, and we'll get into them in a second. Of course, thank you for joining the podcast here. If you could, like and subscribe so you can get notifications every single time I post one of these short-form podcast videos. And of course, this one, if this is your first time joining us, it is the culmination of all the info from the first cut, course history, recent form, and strokes gained articles. So there's 3 of them in there. I basically try and summarize it as best I can for you in this article, because in this podcast, because some people don't like to read. Some people just like to listen, or they're traveling for work. Maybe not too many of you are traveling for work right now, but probably some of you are, and like to have something to listen to while you do. So, as I said, SuperDraft is the sponsor of the podcast, and if you haven't heard of them yet, they are the future of daily fantasy sports has arrived. Experience SuperDraft exclusive game mode multiplier. Say goodbye to salary restrictions and hello to lineup freedom. Use your fantasy sports knowledge to draft any player you want and build your very own dream team. Countless lineup possibilities let you experience daily fantasy sports the way you want. SuperDraft offering contest this week for PGA, $4,000 to first place, NASCAR and MMA, and soon to be NBA and MLB, so you can enjoy the best of DFS all year round. Sign up for SuperDraft today using promo code AWESEMO12. It's $10 free on your first deposit of 10 or more, and $20 total free on your first deposit of 100 or more. New users also get a free $12 ticket to use at their disposal. So download in the App Store or play at SuperDraft.io. SuperDraft, no limits, more winning. All right, so let's quickly review the course profile that we have set up from the first cut. I'm just going to give you a few bits of information. They are on the easier to hit fairways, or on the easier side, I should say. Tons of drivers. You can be able to hit a bunch of them, so that ranks as one of the top 10 easiest in terms of driving distance, or else it did last year. And 70% or more in the greens in regulation make it one of the easiest as well. Now, once you're on these Donald Ross greens, they may be a little bit more difficult, which should certainly help the best putters. All right, let's move on now now that we've kind of set the stage, let's move on to some recent form. And we've got a completely different field, so there'll be much more information. Of course, what a great week. We've got a Millionaire Maker coming up and not a big field, so what more perfect time to become an Awesome Plus member. So get access to all the great Awesome Plus tools and content for this week's PGA DFS slate. An Awesome Plus Golf Weekly Pass for $8.95. This includes full access to Awesome's leading golf projections, ownership projections, top golfers tool, and so much more, including Slack chat, all the articles from Ben and I, and so much more. There's never a better time for PGA DFS, as the world around it may be crumbling. Certainly not PGA DFS. So step on the course today and sign up. All right, so let's go ahead and look at some of the recent form information. First, let's look at the guys who have made every cut that they've played in since the AT&T Pebble Beach Pro-Am, which is where my data set is going back to. We got Bryson DeChambeau and Ty Hatton, no surprise. Kurt Kitayama, also doing well in his limited starts. William Gordon is actually 3 for 3, including last week's third place finish. And the last one, this is going to surprise a lot of people. It surprised me. In fact, I had to go double check and make sure my information was correct. Jason Duffner. While he may not have any top 20s, he's made every cut. He's played the weekend every single time as he gets another year of status with the COVID going on. So using that to his advantage and earning some money along the way. Now, only 4 golfers have 3 or more top 10s in the field. We would have had to go way down the list the last couple of weeks to do this. But obviously Bryson, he is just far and away. He's got, I believe, 7 out of his last 8 have come in the top 10. Pat Reed also there with 3. Joseph Bramlett, who had 2 top 10s on the Korn Ferry Tour before joining the PGA Tour last week. So he is in good form. A couple other guys, Sung J Im, no surprise, Bubba Watson, and Ty Hatton. So obviously, the players that are priced the highest have been playing well. No surprise there. Now we're going to switch to the negative side of the recent form. See if we can find some buck the trends, if you will. Last week, there were a couple of those that ended up coming through and making a cut or coming in their first top 20, Doc Redman included. So, missed cuts. Russell Knox, Ted Potter, and Martin Traynor have missed all 7 starts since the AT&T Pebble Beach Pro-Am. That's brutal. Absolutely brutal. Other guys, I'm sorry, they've missed 7 cuts. Maybe not all 7 cuts since. They've missed 7 cuts since the AT&T Pebble Beach Pro-Am, which is 10 weeks. Now, guys that have missed every cut since the AT&T, David Hearn, Lucas Beauregard, and Andrew Putnam. Jeez, tough little stretch for those guys. Hopefully they'll be able to turn it around here soon. No top 20s. Some really interesting names, and I'm going to say 1 or 2, maybe even 3 of these guys are able to break through this week and knock that off. Matt Wallace, Sam Burns, Adam Hadwin, Doug Gim, C.T. Pan, Austin Cook, Tyler Duncan, Aaron Wise, and Kevin Tway. So that's just some quick information on the recent form. Of course, if you're looking for more information on this front, turn over to my article that is free each and every week, the Fit and Form article, posted live right now. It'll go more in depth about this information and more. Okay, let's turn our attention to course history now. And now we only have 1 year, so this is going to go rather quickly. I apologize. I'll just say a quick few words. Now, of course, normally we have the tournament has more than 1 year at its current host, but here we are at Detroit Golf Club. All right, Lashley was the winner. He putted super well. Other top 10s had Reed and Snedeker, while Byung-Hyun Ahn and Sung Jae-im both ranked in the top 7 in strokes gained tee to green here last year. Neither of them could get the putter going, so maybe with a year under their belt, they'll be able to figure out how to putt, and that should, maybe, possibly, help them in getting a better finish inside the top 10 this year. Other course fit possibility, Bryson DeChambeau didn't play here last year. Aaron Wise did, playing much better, and Kyle Stanley, who had a great week last week. All right, so last week I noticed, speaking of last week, I noticed that I forgot to include the strokes gained information on this pod, which is, of course, very useful. And if this is your first time listening to the pod or getting into PGA DFS, strokes gained is the statistical measures for the PGA Tour. Now, every single sport, whether it be MLB or NFL, has their own set of statistics and ways in which to measure players, either against each other or just in general. And the way to do that on the PGA Tour is strokes gained. Strokes gained is broken down into 4 distinct categories. Your off the tee, so your tee shot. Your approach game, which does include par 3s. Your around the green game, and then your on the green game. So all of those 4, and of course there's other ones within those, like short game, which is a combination of 2, and ball striking, which I'll get into in a minute. So first we're going to start with total. So I'm going to take all of these combined. I'm looking for guys that have gained more than 2 strokes. And the guys that lead that category coming into this week are Bryson DeChambeau, Hideki Matsuyama, Webb Simpson, Sung Jae-im, JT Poston, Kevin Na, Brian Harmon, and Patrick Reed. All have done it more than 5 times. We switch to tee to green, which is off the tee, approach, and around the green. So from the tee to the green. Obviously, the name kind of says it there. Matsuyama has done it more than 50% of his starts. Well, a few other names end up above 35% of their starts with at least 1.5 strokes gained from tee to green. Eric Van Rooyen, Victor Hovland, Scotty Scheffler, Webb Simpson, and Tony Finau. So some stability there, maybe not when it's a week where you need good putting, but certainly some ball striking stability. Speaking of ball striking, which is just off the tee and the approach game, Victor Hovland always reigns supreme here. Hideki Matsuyama, Doc Redman, Eric Van Rooyen, and Emiliano Grillo all have done it near or over 50% of their starts. Going to hear a bunch of different names, though. We've been hearing the same ones now for the last 3 stats or so. We're going to switch to short game, which is the around the green and putting combined. Ryan Gibson and Christopher Ventura, who are 2 names that have not played in the first 3 weeks. They've been on the Korn Ferry Tour, haven't been able to get in. They are 4-9 and 4 of 10 respectively in their starts, gaining at least 1 stroke with their short game. So guys that definitely are spend a lot of their time on and around the greens practicing. Maverick McNeely and Rob Oppenheim are 2 other guys from the Korn Ferry start who also have done it 4 or more times, but they've needed a couple of more starts to do so. Now when we go to the individual stats, the off the tee, Bubba Watson, Victor Hovland, Bryson DeChambeau lead, and then maybe a name that you wouldn't think would pop up here, and this is looking at least 1 strokes gain off the tee. Harold Varner ranks in the top 5 as well in this category, so interesting there as he has been playing quite well. Now, approaches, which I suspect to be one of the most important aspects of the week or stats of the week. Emiliano Grillo and Victor Hovland are the only ones over 50%. Cameron Percy has done it 4 of 10 starts, while Russell Knox, Chesson Hadley, Kyle Stanley, Webb Simpson, Hideki Matsuyama, Doc Redman, Cameron Tringale, Lucas Glover, Brian Stewart, and Harold Varner again have done it at least 5 times in my data set, which is about a year and a half. I should have mentioned that at the beginning. I'm looking at about a year and a half of starts, roughly. Okay, last 2. Around the green, Steve Stricker, who's playing this week, has done it in 3 of 9 starts, measured at least. Fabian Gomez, Aaron Badley, Brandt Snedeker, Martin Traynor, and Ryan Armour have done it at least 5 times, while Jason Day and Rob Oppenheim have done it in 25% of their starts, but not quite 5 times there for Day or Oppenheim. And lastly, let's look at some of the better putters of the week, as we know it's going to be vital to the success of the players. Vincent Whaley, Korn Ferry Tour grad, has done it in 4 of 9 starts, gaining at least 1 stroke with his putter. Christopher Ventura shows up again. He's 4 of 10. And then we got our regulars that we have been noticing over the past couple of weeks, if you've been with me. Webb Simpson, Kevin Na, JT Poston, and Patrick Rogers have all done it quite a bit, over 7 times. However, none of them have accomplished more than 1 strokes gained putting, more than Wyndham Clark, who's done it 10 times in 26 starts. So maybe a good course fit here if he can turn his irons up just a little bit. So until next time, everybody, if you're looking for more information, of course, all of this is in a specific article that are all free. The first cut, the fit and the form, and the strokes gain analysis, all free, dealing with this information and so much more. Of course, if you're looking for some specific strategy on this week's slate, turn into the PGA DFS Strategy Show today at 2:30. I'm recording this on Tuesday morning. And of course, if you can't reach that one and you want it all broken down for you, come check out Ben and I's Live Before Lock show, the last show in the industry. We are rocking it. We basically recap all of the prior 3 days information, which has been a lot these first couple of weeks, and so much more. So look forward to seeing you guys all then. Of course, for the third and final part of our 3-part podcast here will be the Against the Grain or Reading the Grain podcast, dealing with ownership for the DraftKings Millionaire Maker. So check that out tomorrow morning, Wednesday morning. So until then, everybody, we'll see you on the other side. Cheers.